these papers, there's nothing on. Hey dolls, it's me, Wilma Fingerdoo, with This Week in Drag, my new one-stop shop for almost anything drag-related. Let's put it this way. If I can watch it, I'll review it. So, we kick this week off with the reveal of Canada's Drag Race Season 3 cast. There are an unprecedented amount of Ontario queens this season, particularly from Toronto. Those 5 queens are Jada Shada Hudson, a Toronto legend, and not because she's the oldest queen competing this season. This Toronto-based Barbados native performed with such legends as Lizzo, so look out for her. Miss Fiercelicious gave up what I can only assume was her parents' dream of becoming a doctor to become a legend in the making in Toronto's drag community. So, you know she's going to try extra hard. Seriously. Bombay, who moved from Mumbai to Toronto in 2016, is a fashion club kid who's got legs for days. She's also making a name for herself with her weekly live shows on Twitch. Miss Mocho is Toronto's Portuguese-Canadian international wig-snatching diva, serving legs and face for days. Or so she says. Mocho also claims to be the drag brunch queen of Toronto and hosts a weekly show at Toronto's legendary Gladstone House. FYI, Mocho is boy in Portuguese. Just saying. Originally of Egyptian-Palestinian descent, Halal Bey moved to Toronto at 18 to pursue an openly queer life. With chutzpah like that, I'm thinking that Halal Bey won't give up the fight for the crown so easily. Our 6th Ontario queen is from our nation's capital, and you know that's home to last year's winner, Isis Couture, who just happens to be this next drag queen's drag mother. It's Kimmy Couture. Although this Ottawa queen is the 3rd trans woman to compete on Canada's Drag Race, she is the first to do it openly, right out of the gate. There's an "it takes balls to do that" joke in there somewhere, but as a legitimate newswoman, I don't feel it's appropriate to make one. Okay, I'm kidding. Here's the thing. Quebec has 2 queens in the running this year, both from Montreal. Giselle Lullaby is a queen with a bold personality who is also a resident performer of the world-famous cabaret Modo. So, there should be no worry about this queen commanding an audience. Our 2nd Montreal queen is Lady Boom Boom, who is a regular at Le Drag in Quebec City and boasts a degree in clothing conception and production. So she should do well on a sewing challenge or 2, I'm just saying. There's only one West Coast contestant this year, hailing from Vancouver, BC. It's Vivian Vanderpuss. This BC queen says she is a mix of glampy art and a vivacious personality who doesn't always present as female. This queen likes to experiment with Hyper King and non-binary characters, which should make for an interesting runway, to say the least. Calgary follows up Stephanie Prince's appearance last season with this season's entrant, Chaos. This queen plays with gender in her drag, and from her Instagram, it's clear that this queen is experimental. Whether she's bearded or painted like a member of the Kiss Army, this is another queen who will be interesting to watch. I'm so serious. Saskatoon sends its first queen to the runway this season. Chelazon Larue is a Saskatoon native who's proud of her Indigenous identity, and she has over 500,000 followers on TikTok. So she's already famous. And St. John's, Newfoundland is the final province, sending its first queen to the workroom. Irma Gerd, which, I'm sorry, is the best drag queen name ever. Irma isn't only St. John's first queen on Canada's Drag Race, she's the first from the entire East Coast. Makes you wonder what Halifax is up to. Irma is the current reigning Atlantic drag star and regularly hosts shows with her 6 drag children. Good to keep the family close. Canada's Drag Race premieres July 14th. Check your local listings. Speaking of cast reveals, what started out as a web series 4 years ago has grown beyond YouTube to land on cable TV. Camp Wannakiki Season 4 will not only be premiering this fall, it will make that premiere on Out TV exclusively, and they celebrated the news by revealing their Season 4 queens. Now, I would like to say it was rumored that I was going to be one of those queens. Well, I wasn't, and I'm not. Sorry to disappoint. But the queens who will be on Season 4 Clinica de Precious is a non-binary queen originally from Cleveland, Ohio, now calling Columbus their home. Clinica is an avant-garde queen whose eclectic aesthetic will serve her well. Coco Chanel is a classic queen from Chicago, Illinois, whose old-school skills could set her apart from this season's hoi polloi. You heard me. Comedy queen Coleslaw hails from Boston, Massachusetts, where her eclectic aesthetic keeps her audiences coming back for more. Toledo, Ohio native Deja D. Deleterio is another classic queen who will be bringing her skills to bear this season. Good thing they're in the woods. Flapjack, or Flapjack Glen, as her Instagram says, is a quirky queen from Birmingham, Alabama, who seems to run the gamut from high camp to old school glamour. So she should be able to keep them guessing this season. Opal Essence hails from Albany, New York, and her drag mother is RuPaul Drag Race Season 11 contestant Honey Davenport. Fingerdoo's crossed for Opal, lasting longer on Wannakiki than Honey did on the race, is all I'm saying. Morrisville, Pennsylvania queen Pola Frost gives me Joanne Worley vibes in the best way possible, so I'm expecting her to teach the other queens a little something. I'm just saying. Philly queen Lily St. Queer makes her debut as the first mustached queen on any competitive reality show, and from the images on her Instagram, her eclectic glamour is going to heat up those talent shows. I'm so serious. Another first for Camp Wannakiki is Hilary Yaz, hailing from Toronto, Canada. Hilary is the first non-American to compete on Camp Wannakiki ever. I personally know Hilary, and Camp is her middle name. I'm sure she's going to show those Americans a thing or two. Not that there's anything wrong with Americans. And rounding out a season of firsts, from Seattle, Washington, we have Vincent Malay, Wannakiki's first trans male drag king. Already I'm excited. Season 4 of Camp Wannakiki makes its Out TV debut this fall, so stay tuned for details as they come in. Drag Race France premiered 2 weeks ago with the gorgeous Nikki Doll hosting, and they kicked things off on episode 1 with the queens making their entrance. Cam Yug, self-professed drag princess and pretty girl, who apparently isn't easily intimidated, was first through the doors. La Big Bertha was next, not only a bearded queen, but clearly a comedy queen as well, although there was nothing funny about how she shaded each and every queen into that room. It'll be fun to see if she's a queen to be reckoned with or just a lot of glitter in a bag. Seriously. Ellipse made a dramatic entrance in a blue sequin jumpsuit and skull cap. Very Art Deco. Next through the doors from Mexico was Lolita Banana, obviously another comedy queen, whose banana-themed entrance outfit left the other queens feeling better about their own choices. Soa Demuse made a fabulous entrance in an oversized pinstripe suit with her oversized personality. La Grande Dame was next in a dramatic couture beaded number, looking fabulous enough to avoid the other queen's shade. Good for her. Lova La Diva's entrance in all her old school drag loveliness was immediately read for filth by the other queens. I always love that because it's usually one of those queens who gets sent home first. I'm just saying. Kahina made a dramatic entrance in her asymmetrical black and gold gown with matching metal mohawk. And she was on fire. Literally. No wonder she didn't wear a wig. La Brioche was next, and she brought snacks. Brioche is a trans woman and clearly a comedy queen whose personality seemed to overpower Big Bertha's viper tongue. Finally. Paloma was next through the workroom doors, and I'm just going to go ahead and say it. This was my favorite entrance look, period. And what are these queens battling for, you ask? Well, a crown and scepter worth 40,000 euro, a 1-week stay for 2 in Mauritius, and a year of makeup from MAC Cosmetics. So no actual money? What is this, the UK? Of course, we met a few of the French pit crew. Thankfully, their swimsuits were not stuffed. Maybe because production was giving an equal opportunity for their derrieres to be on TV too. I was okay with that because I love cake. Was that too rude? Drag Race France's first ever mini challenge was a photo shoot with Jean Le Brac to create a fridge-worthy postcard. Cue the Can-Can girls. All the queens had a good time during the photo shoots, but the winner was the petite yet flexible powerhouse Lolita Banana, much to Big Bertha's chagrin. Something tells me this season is going to be all about Big Bertha's chagrin. This week's Maxi Challenge was a talent show. Nikki Doll welcomed her regular judges, stylist Daphne Berkey, and singer-producer and bon vivant Kitty Smile. In other news, I'm secretly in love with Kitty Smile. This week's guest judges were Miss Universe Iris Mitnier and fashion legend Jean-Paul Gaultier. As far as the show went, Lolita Banana did a high-energy lip-sync dance number with a super cute partner. There was a costume change, there was a surprise wig change, there were lifts, and there were spins. I loved it. Cam Oog came out in a banana costume, which she removed, and then sang out of rhythm and off-key for far too long. Hey, at least she's cute. La Brioche looked gorgeous and sang live beautifully and would have been one of my top faves if that right eyelash hadn't been so wonky. I was so distracted, especially on the close-ups, and I'm sure I'm not alone. Bothered you, right? Paloma did a comedy monologue as a guru at a new age resort and brought the house down. She wasn't just funny, she was clearly the one to beat. La Grande Dame did a lip sync in a Terry Mugler inspired outfit, then stuck a champagne flute on her head and played the saxophone, as well as any sixth grader anyway. Hey, at least Jean-Paul liked her outfit. Ellipse did a lip sync in a fabulous camouflage jumpsuit, which she slowly took off to reveal a red bodysuit, including a fabulous red wig. It's a good job. Soa Demuse sang live in a wig made of white yarn. She was hypnotic in her performance and sang beautifully. Needless to say, the rest of the queens were worried. I just wondered why the wig was made out of yarn. Lova La Diva gave a TED talk about her health struggles and how she fought to be standing on stage today, but it was clear with some of the queens that they didn't think this was a talent. Okay, mostly Big Bertha. I'm still not sure what it is that La Kahina did, but I loved it. Okay, maybe the first half of it. It was art, it was camp, it was comedy, but it was way too long, and I, for one, lost the storyline and my interest. She just needed some editing, bless her. Big Bertha's number was fabulous. She started with a lip-sync phone conversation that turned into a powerful strip tease, and I do mean strip. Drag Race London, Drag Race France, La Big Bertha just dropped her underpants. I'm so serious. And, well, the crowd went wild. The runway category this week was Freedom, Equality, and Jean-Paul Gaultier. La Brioche wore a replica of Dita Von Teese's Jean-Paul Gaultier butterfly dress in the trans flag colors. Yet still, no one mentioned her wonky eyelash. I still gave her a Fingerdoo. Lolita Banana went full cone Madonna with a bra cup reveal of water taps. I'm still not sure why. But I gave her a Fingerdoo too. Lova La Diva was decked out as both the male and female Jean-Paul Gaultier perfume bottles, and I totally gave her a Fingerdoo for that. Soa Demuse went the full cone Madonna look, but she went through wig world to get there. Having her whole outfit made out of braids was genius and worthy of a Fingerdoo. Bertha did some big out-of-the-box thinking as her runway look was inspired by Jean-Paul Gaultier's childhood bear, Nana. Jean-Paul Gaultier put a corset on his teddy. La Cahena's new dress with red sequin hand appliques was a hit with the judges, mostly because it was giving them sexy ideas. Like maybe having a Fingerdoo. Paloma wore an homage to Jean-Paul Gaultier's 2007 show, The Madonnas of Jean-Paul Gaultier. She looked stunning. Cam Oog wore an actual Jean-Paul Gaultier dress down the runway. Of course she did. Just a little and tiny. Ellipse gave us the Gaultier cone bra, but she recreated it in Jean-Paul Gaultier ties into a cute little baby doll dress. Hey, Jean-Paul Gaultier loved it, so I gave it a Fingerdoo. La Grande Dame strutted down the catwalk in a Jean-Paul Gaultier-inspired belted dress that Jean-Paul Gaultier thought was nicer than his. Quelle horreur! Still gave it a Fingerdoo. When it was all said and done, Drag Race France's first week winner was Soa de Muse. The bottom two queens were Lova La Diva and La Kahena. They'd lip-synced to Celine Dion's Prière Païenne. Lovey went the old-school comedy route, and the judges loved it, while Kahena was a little more dramatic with her performance. But at the end of the day, it was Lova La Diva who shantaed, and it was La Kahena making history as the first pork chop of Drag Race France to sashay away. It was clearly an emotional moment for La Kahena, and I loved that Nikki Doll took time to remind her that she is now and always will be a Drag Race France Season 1 queen. Fast forward to Drag Race France Week 2, where Nikki Doll presented the queens with this week's mini challenge. The queens were going to let loose on a little rock and roll with the help of drag kings Jesus La Vindage, Judah La Vindage, and Chico. After 20 minutes to get into quick rock and roll drag, the queens got to perform with La Vindage and Chico. Bertha went first and set a very high bar with her glam rock performance. Paloma sacrificed a favorite dress for her performance. Oh, the French. Anything in the name of art. La Brioche stripped down to her ginge and then literally threw herself into her performance as she rolled around on the floor. Lolita Banana was giving Lady Gaga vibes during her performance that involved the splits. I'm still not sure if La Grande Dame was giving us rock and roll or a scene from The Walking Dead, but you can't say she wasn't entertaining. The best thing about Ellipse's performance is that she wore a wig for it. Soa was giving her best hardcore Rihanna, while Lova La Diva was risking personal injury with her performance. Last but not least was Cam Oog, who surprised me by eschewing all signs of glamour and rolled around on the floor. Good for you, pretty girl. But it was all for naught because the mini challenge winner was La Grande Dame, who was either still in character or her performance took more out of her than we thought. For this week's Maxi Challenge, the queens would be acting in a comedy spoof of the popular French series Call My Agent, called Call Me Queen. As the mini challenge winner, La Grande Dame got to assign the roles. There was tension when Cam, La Brioche, and Ellipse wanted the same part of Marion Cotillard and Edith Piaf. Whether La Brioche convinced them or just wore them down, she won the part. Nikki dropped by the workroom with one of this week's guest judges and director of Call Me Queen, French entertainment icon Marianne James, who talked with the queens about acting and playing different characters, but most of all, she told them to enjoy themselves. One queen who seemed to enjoy herself a little more than the others was Lolita Banana, who not only did her scene in one take, she got a round of applause from the judges. Okay, Lolita. As the queens got ready for the runway, they shared coming out stories and talked about hiding makeup from their parents. Even La Brioche's having to come out twice was discussed, but what was refreshing was the amount of love and support most of these queens got from their families. I wonder if that's a French thing or a woke 2022 thing. On the main stage, the category was Say It With Flowers. Soa was a living bird of paradise with a touch of Mad Max punk, which I liked, so I gave her a Fingerdoo. Cam wore another corset, but this one was festooned with blue hydrangea. Let's hope Madonna's not watching. I gave her a Fingerdoo. I don't care about Madonna. Bertha went the comedy route by bidding a final farewell to her summer body with a wreath on her back and a summer sausage down her top. Like you do. I don't know. I thought this was a bad runway, so I gave it a Fingerdoo. Ellipse's alien who fell in love with flowers on Earth was as gorgeous as her makeup, so I gave her a Fingerdoo. La Brioche may have thought too far out of the box with her ode to video games, but it did make me think of Little Shop of Horrors, so I gave her a Fingerdoo. Lolita Banana served some Frida Kahlo realness with her runway and the message, "Long live drag life" in French. in flowers on her skirt. Fingerdoo. Paloma's Red Rose Trapped by Thorns theme was interesting, but as far as silhouettes go, we've seen this before, so I gave her a finger don't. Lova La Diva set it with flowers by being a wood nymph with a wilting fig leaf. I don't know, I thought she looked cute, but it was pretty simple. I don't know, I gave her a finger do, bless her. La Grande Dame's Haute Couture Fantasy Flower was breathtaking and a fave with the judges, so I gave it a finger do. And then they watched Call Me Queen. It wasn't the worst thing I've ever watched a Drag Race cast do, but there were a couple of standouts, namely Paloma, Lolita Banana, and La Grande Dame. But, to be fair, the editing helped everyone at least once, if not twice. At the end of the day, it was Paloma who won the acting challenge, much to everyone's delight, and it was Lova La Diva again and Soa who had to lip sync for their lives to L5's Toute la Femme de ta vie. This was a fun lip sync to watch off the top, but then Lova stripped down and flipped her wig on purpose. And then it was just awkward. What was also awkward was that Soa really did very little to win that lip sync. Either she felt Lova did that badly, or she felt she didn't need to try too hard. Either way, when the music died, it was Soa who shantaed, and it was the very gracious and grateful Lova La Diva who sashayed away. There are only 8 queens left on Drag Race France. Next week, they're not only having a ball, it's a fashion ball, so I'll be expecting a lot of haute in my couture. Drag Race France airs on Thursdays. Check your local listings. Over on the All Winners edition of RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars Season 7, Episode 2, the queens had to perform in a scripted comedy murder mystery Mean Girls spoof, Santa's School for Girls. Award-winning director Janixa Bravo not only helped direct the queens, but stayed to help with the judging. This week's runway was knitwear. The Vivienne kicked things off in this stunning large knit gown. Shea Coulee's Ndebele tribe-inspired knitwear was a huge hit with the judges, as was Raja's C-3PO as a knitting grandma. Her words, not mine. Jinx Monsoon channeled Marlena Dietrich in her old Hollywood gown of gold open knitwork, while Trinity the Tuck's purple fantasy with matching grumpkin and painted leopard print touches were a showstopper for sure. Evie Oddly's Edward Knitting Hands was a welcome and refreshing take on this week's runway category, and I gave her a finger do, while Monet's Round the Way high-waisted booty shorts with crop puffy jacket and hair bow did well with the judges. And me, I gave that a finger do as well. Jada Essence Hall's nod to the big comfy couch got a better reaction from the judges once they realized what they were looking at. Personally, I knew exactly what I was looking at right off the hop and had no trouble giving her a finger do. After watching Santa's School for Girls and deliberating with the judges, Rue announced that this week's top 2 queens were the Vivienne and Raja. They lip-synced to Rick James' Super Freak. The Vivienne gave it her all. She even poured water over herself for a wet t-shirt moment, but it backfired when, well, she slipped in the water trying to do a somersault. As for Raja, she sold the hell out of this song. She was funny, she was hypnotic, she knew the words. It was no wonder that at the end of the lip sync, Rue announced that this week's winner was Raja. She got this week's cash tip of $10,000 and the power to block a queen, and the queen she chose to block was the only queen with 3 legendary legend stars, Jada Essence Hall. Next week's challenge, the queens have to create viral video dances, so it's almost anyone's guess how they will do. To see my full review of this week's episode, click on the link above or look for it in the description box down below. I'm Wilma Fingerdoo, and until next week, that was This Week in Drag. I hope you were in drag too. Mwah!